On live at Buddy Brew. It's the Friday, the 3rd of February. I'm sitting here with my good friend Tony Buntyn, who's got his coffee. I've got mine. We've got fresh brewed Buddy Brew coffee. And Dave Ward and Susan, who run the place, are here with a large crowd. We've got Tony DeSisto, who's a candidate for City Council this year, and a number of others. I've got some of my friends who were supporting my opponent when I was running the primary, but they're here, and good people like Tom Rocky and others who Tom, gotta love him. But
he wish I'd go away though.
No. Glad he's here. But we also have I'm excited about Tony. Tony and I were talking about his work, and he's involved in cyber warfare and a lot of exciting issues, which we're going to get to. But Tony, you ran for Congress.
I did.
Tell us about your run for Congress. Why you decided to run against Kathy Castor, and just kind of give us an update on where you are today.
Well, Mark, District 11 just kind of called me. I think it called you at one time. The general region is fairly conservative. District 11 is an anomaly in this region. And the Republicans, and we just redistricted back in 2000, I guess, after the 2000 census, we created a district that is extremely left-leaning. Okay, over 50% raised for Democrats, only 25% raised for Republicans. And to me, this is an anomaly. And for this region, it's an anomaly to have a district that's so liberal. Right. And a representative that is so liberal. The 9th most liberal member of Congress. That does not represent the Tampa Bay area. Now, I've made the joke a number of times that it more represents the San Francisco Bay area, which happens to be where Nancy Pelosi is from. So, Kathy and Nancy kind of go together. I felt a calling to run for Congress because we need good people in Congress. And at the time when I entered the race, I didn't see us with a viable candidate that could beat Kathy, and I thought I could do that. And of course I did. I still thought that I was the best candidate, but I came up short. And so now I'm supporting one of my former opponents, Mike Prendergast, who won, and is an excellent candidate. He's a good man, 31-year Army colonel, and he's a leader. And by God, we need leadership in Congress.
Well, I was interested in that. How many people were running on the Republican side of the seat?
Well, we had four. It was Eddie Adams, Tommy Castellano, myself, and Mike Prendergast.
And it was really interesting that the four of you really ran what I thought was a very positive campaign. I didn't see at all the speeches that were given, no one really spent much time talking about the other candidate. We kind of talked about what you all wanted to do.
And actually, I did spend a lot of time talking about the other candidates, but it was always that they are good and decent men, okay? And that was the tone for the campaign, is we always talked positively about each other. What was Reagan's 11th commandment is you shall not talk negatively about another Republican. Not exactly like that, but don't put down your fellow Republican.
Right. Well, this seems like the 2010 election cycle is being defined by some pretty nasty campaigns and some pretty tough primaries. Is it your sense, though, that in the future we can get back to kind of issue-oriented, or what I'm going to do, and kind of leave the voter to decide whether or not they like the other candidate? What do you think about that?
One can only hope. Okay, I can only control what I do, and you can only control what you do. Your opponents can try to drag you down in the dirt. Don't let them. Don't let them. You have to represent you. And you know how it is in a campaign. You get advice from everybody and their brother that knows how to run a campaign better than you do. And you just got to be yourself.
This is Tony Buntyn. Tony ran for Congress, District 11, in a seat that I ran 3 times. I ran in
almost did it though.
In 1994, in 1992, I ran straight out of the Navy. I had spent 8 years active duty. Ran for the congressional seat. The district did differently. It was slightly more. It was still majority Democrat, but there were a few more Republicans, and it was a competitive seat. I ran against Congressman Sam Gibbons. In '94, we came within a whisker. A point and a half. A lot of things happened. Dan Rostenkowski, who just recently passed away, had been indicted. So when Dan got indicted, Sam became chairman of Ways and Means. All within a week or two, you have Sam becoming chairman of Ways and Means. We're celebrating, I believe it was the 50th anniversary of the landing of D-Day. So there was all these big things happening. He was getting all this press. But we were still able to run an effective campaign against a guy that I actually really like. Sam and I become good friends. He's a good man. He's a tough, strong guy. I mean, he's still kicking around and working hard, you know, at 90 plus. But I felt it was time for new representation as well. But it was slightly more competitive. My question is, do you think that District 11 seat, I mean, is a winnable seat?
It is winnable. I think that we have to pull together. To me, you have to aim for the center. All right, that is a district that heavily leans to the left, but there are a number of what I would call Dixiecrats that can be won. The independents, you have to win them too, but you're not going to win them with the extreme right, most conservative candidate. Okay, you've got to hit the center.
Well, I mean, I still think, and this is, as a fiscal conservative speaking here, that whether you're Washington or at the local level, I tend to believe we need people who are kind of process-oriented, issue-oriented, willing to work with others. That doesn't mean compromising your values or positions, because, you know, we're coming up with some tough issues. I was watching Morning Joe this morning, and they were talking about the young guns.
Right.
And Representative Cantor, Representative Ryan, and I think the other one is Representative McCarthy, who represents the 22nd District of California. But the young guns are talking about how we're going to try to balance the budget in Washington. Do you have any idea? You were thinking about running, and you wanted to be our representative. What would you have done to try to balance the budget in Washington, you know, our federal budget?
I think that the budget could be pretty simple. You create a pie chart, and that pie chart represents 100%. 100% of receipts. And whenever receipts fall below expectations, you have to cut. But Congress sets up the percentages.
What about entitlements? I mean, it seems like that's the 800-pound gorilla.
Entitlements have to be cut.
I agree.
And you've got to figure out a way to do it. But if you set up a pie chart for the budget and you say 20% is defense. Well, 20% is defense. Depends on how much you bring in. 20% is 20%. You've got to figure out a way to cut that. Each one of the secretaries for the different departments would know what their priorities are and what the parts of their budget cannot be cut. And they would have to trim their budget as necessary to fit the budget.
Now, I promised, and I wanted to get this in. Can you tell me just briefly what it was you did before, and what you still are? You're still involved in the defense-related industry, but just give a brief bio.
Well, I've served 31 years in the Air Force Reserve, active duty, Air National Guard, and now Air Force Reserve. In my last active duty assignment, I was the vice commander of the Air Force Cyberspace Command. We created.
Where's that located?
It's located at Lackland Air Force Base. We created an organization with 20,000 active Guard and Reserve troops, about a $6 billion budget, and that was not new personnel, that was not new budget. My job was to go around to all of the existing components within the Air Force and take money and manpower. I was not a very popular guy, but I was able to carve out 20,000 personnel and $6 billion worth of budget.
Well, you know, we're going to have you back on again to talk about that. I remember going to NORAD and being impressed by the gee-whizzardry that we were doing.
Right.
It's good to hear that we have people like you dealing with an issue like cyber war, because that, to me, really is something that we need to be really concerned about.
And it's something that will bring jobs to this area, and we talk about that later.
Well, we're here to talk about jobs, the economy. We're here to talk about people like Tony, who are great Americans who've put themselves on the line, ran for office. I'm sure we are going to see you again. We need you in office. You know, at some level, just don't, you know, take an eye. Maybe look at county commission, you know, or something, or city council. I know DeSisto is over here getting ready to serve, I hope, as a member of the city council. But we need good people at the local level. But then don't give up your dreams, because you know what? We may be seeing you running again for Congress.
Yep. My dream is not really to be in politics, but to save the country. And if it's supporting somebody like you, I'm all for that.
We're going to work together.
There we go.
Good seeing you, my friend.